So welcome everyone to the BEwell Hub Series, a space dedicated to uncovering insights, tackling difficulties, and celebrating successes from our life journey. My name is Gary Marcus Judge, and I will be your host along with Helena Carrizosa. I hope I'm saying your surname correctly. And on the topic of harnessing the power of intuition. This is the second part two, because we really enjoyed the first session. And so we want to go a little bit deeper. And so Helena has kindly given us her time and her knowledge, and she's come back again. So we're going to do part two. So who is our guest speaker? Helena Carrizosa is a business and life coach and a dear friend. I consider her a dear friend. She specializes in inner sustainability and intuitive performance for creative businesses and professionals. She lives and works in London, England. So last week we spoke about intuition on the part one, and I took some notes. So maybe I just share those little notes, little sort of nuggets that I took away. And then we can go into part two, and then or people can share what they took away. So Helena said intuition is like a divine tool. So I took that word as a divine tool. We spoke about intuition is emotionless. It's not like it's emotionless. Intuition is like a muscle. So it can be improved, it can be worked. We don't always listen to our intuition. We override sometimes the intuition because maybe we're in our mind and we think that maybe the mind can override the gut feelings or not the sixth sense, because we said it's not sixth sense either. We said we talk about company work. We need to start employing people who are intuitive when we're recruiting. We need to look at this. We're all born with intuition. We just need to listen to our bodies, our rhythm, the rhythm of life a little bit more. We also mentioned not the comfort zone, but the familiar zone. I think that was something we were talking about, like not feeling comfortable.
It takes us out of intuition, sometimes takes us out of our comfort zone, out of what is familiar to us. And that's why we override it, because it's too different. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. I think that's some of the lot of points are written there, but I think that's the most things that I took away. So Helena, would you like to just sort of recap what we did last one? So for people like Tom and Fireflies note taker Tom and Shari who were not here last week.
Well, you touched on kind of the important things, and obviously I invite you guys to watch the first recording. The good things is that there is a recording that you can explore, but you kind of touch on the important ones. And what I was thinking probably is that I brought another introduction like last time with different things and new things about intuition that I can share with you. And then from there, we can go do the same and invite you guys to bring your questions, your comments, and even if they are from the previous recording, feel free to bring whatever you like. But I thought bringing new information, if that's okay with you. Yeah. So I'll do another introduction, also quite packed like the other with a lot of information. So anyway, I hope this is useful in some way. And always take what resonates with you and what doesn't, just leave it. I'm not here to say this is the only truth. It's just the way I perceive intuition, how I researched it. And please bring your own take on that to your own life and practice. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to clarify is the difference between intuition and instinct. Because many times we confuse it, and people say all the time, they talk about, my instincts told me this. So I want to clarify the difference. So they both innate in us. We are born with them. But instinct is more like a behavior. It's more behavioral based. And intuition, like as I mentioned before, it uses all of our senses in all of our body to help us translate the information. Instinct, on another hand, again, there's no emotion, there's no feeling. It's just like an immediate reaction without forethought. And with intuition, it happens differently. There's a stimulus, there's something that comes to us. We receive the intuition help us translate this, and then we get the information we need to receive. And so I'll give you a brief example of how to see them both. And I always give, it's perhaps a weird example, but this is the best way I can explain it. So imagine there's a person inside a house, right? There's in a place. And suddenly, if they hear a loud noise, their instinct will drop them into the floor, right? So, for example, when military people practice a lot of this, is because they are been practicing overriding the fear that sometimes freezes us. So then the instincts can act, right? So the instinct will drop you to the floor without you thinking, as a protection mechanism. And both intuition and instinct, they're both here for your survival. Yeah, they're high wire for your survival. And intuition, if we talk about the same person in the house, if they need to choose from taking left to taking right, then they can ask the question, which way should I take? And that's when intuition they will feel something, or they will hear right. They will be guided into one of the two. So it's a different process, as you can see. So that's why they are different. Hopefully that's clear.
So you said the instinct is something reactive, whereas intuition is something that's we've gone through before, or is it something that we've thought about, or what did you mean by intuition not being reactive?
No, yeah, intuition, I'm going to say intuition is just receiving information, right? Instinct is just kind of your hardwire system for protection. So imagine you're a computer, so it will be like your operational system. That's your instincts. Yeah, it's just your operational system that is just within you. You don't develop it. You don't work on it. You work on your fears that maybe block that instinct, right? But intuition, you do work on it. You develop that connection, that ability to listen to that connection. Yeah, but it's not that instinct is not that it's reactive, it's just behavioral. Let's put it this better like way, it's more behavioral. Yeah, intuition is not so much like that. And now another thing that is very important, how I also like to refer to intuition, I'll ask a question to you. And we also talk about intuition being a compass. And I like that way to refer it. It's an internal compass that we have. But then I have a question for you, and please unmute yourself. That compass is taking us where? Anybody?
Go, Stephen. Stephen's got his hand up. Go.
So I would think that the compass is taking us towards an experience of learning, an experience of being.
Yes. Anybody else? Nell, you're muted. I know you're not muted, but I can't hear you.
Oh, you cannot?
Yeah.
Okay. I said I believe that it's taking us towards our fulfillment and life purpose to live it fully.
Okay. So, yes, Tom, please.
I love the concept that life is an escape room, and we get delivered here, and we don't know how to play the game. We don't know what the rules are. We don't know how to get to our destination, and it's intuition that guides us there. And sometimes it takes us to a scary place. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's like, what do you want me to do? What? But I've learned that the more it doesn't make sense, the more it's actually the answer of where I need to go.
Thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. So all of you are right. And I'll share with you in my own words, how I came to feel, where is it taking us intuition? And I will come back to you, Tom, to your idea a little bit of escape room, because we're going to talk today about signs and synchronicities, a very important component of intuition. But now So if we think about intuition as our compass, one thing that I've understood about intuition is that intuition is taking us towards our truth, whatever that truth is. And nowadays, truth, we have, we ban truth. You know, governments ban truth. They don't share the truth. The media doesn't share the truth. Today's, we don't have a real awareness of the truth. There's so many information out there, and we have completely lost an idea of what's true for us, right? We discussed that in the previous conversation. So for me, intuition is a truth seeker, and we become truth seekers because and that truth, we're talking about obviously divine truth. We're talking about what's true for us, for each of us, for our own path. We all have different paths, different missions, and it guides us to that, towards that truth. So it's important always to see it like this. Why do we connect to our intuition? Is to help me make choices, always to remember that if it's taking us towards our truth, the real truth, then that's a very powerful tool, and it's a very powerful way to see intuition. That's the north of the compass towards our truth. And then coming back to like what Tom was saying, and along the path, we tend to feel like humans that we're here just like we were dropped like that. Good luck. But there are signs, and there are signs that guide us all the time. Where? Towards that truth, towards our path, what we're meant here to do. I have a different vision on purpose. I think our purpose here is to enjoy life, to live, to be mindful of our energy, because we are impacting with our energy everything around us. But then we come here with different missions. And all the time we are guided with these signs towards the missions, towards our truth. And so there are many ways to learn what are these signs, how do they show up. There are individual signs that they say, I see a sign, and that sign for me means something, but it's not going to mean something for the other person. And then there are collective signs that we have agreed upon, like 11:11. You know, it's already know that one. Exactly. So they are these signs that that we have agreed on, that the universe knows, and they send them when we need it to guide us in the path. For example, the universe knows I love YouTube. I spend a lot of my time on YouTube. It sends me a lot of guidance and information through YouTube, through videos, through people, through stuff that I watch there. And it has been actually amazing, to be honest. So find which ways are for you, that the universe will know how you are paying attention. And lastly, and then I will invite everybody to talk about signs and synchronicities. I'm sure you've had many of these. So whenever we have many signs, it kind of becomes a synchronicity. When it makes no sense, when we start seeing the same thing many times, or suddenly we do something that's in a synchronistic way. It was the perfect time, the right day, with the right person, or whatever. And for me, there are two things. This is in a way for me a way for the universe to say, that's good, you're aligning. Let's go carry on like that. As sometimes it does it to align us if we are not aligned. So it's good to pay attention. And the last thing that I will mention today about intuition is that if we want to really connect more with intuition and receive all of these messages, we need to be more in the present and more in the now. Now we hear this a lot, like way too much. And it's not easy. I've tried many times to be in the now, in the present, all the time, every day. No, it's impossible. We need to chill with that and relax and do the best that we can, as much as we can. But what we can do is we can start noticing how we feel when we are here in the present and when our mind has been 4 hours somewhere else, either in the future trying to control it, or in the past because we're ruminating about something. And whenever you bring yourself back, it means that you allow the space for intuition, for you to listen to your intuition. You cannot listen to intuition if your mind is somewhere else, if you're not paying attention. So that's another amazing thing, and another thing that you can start noticing how much you are here, because when you're here, it will be easier for you to connect to it. Yeah. And but also we need to create a safe space within ourselves to be in the now. There are many people that they are either in the past or in the future because it's not safe to be here. Because when they suddenly connect to the now, to themselves, to the present moment, the negative thoughts start. In my life, I don't like it. I don't like myself. They're, you know, negative thoughts. And so they tend to be somewhere else, kind of without, unaware, kind of away, mindless. So another important aspect of intuition, to get to know ourselves, to build a safe space inside of us where we can listen to these messages, where we can listen to these messages that takes us out of our familiarity, and we can have that, we can be brave to follow it without the conditioning of of growing up. So getting to know ourselves and working ourselves is a big part of connecting more as well to that intuition and following the messages. Yeah, as we said, we can sometimes listen, but we can also ignore it. So it's also the part of following it that is very, very important. And so that's it. That's other things that I wanted to discuss that are connected to intuition. And now I would like to invite everybody to jump in with questions and comments.
Unmute and well, I just a little. The last week I was telling Helena before. Since the last BEwell, I've been really ill for the last week, and I think I had COVID, but I never went to get it tested, and it went from fever to high temperature, like runny nose, cold, and shivers, and all sorts of things for the whole week. I think even Shari, we had a conversation the other day, and I was really pretty bad at the time. Usually in this situation, my intuition says, look after yourself, Gary. Just take it easy and stay at home and whatever. And then I have the override. The override is the ego. It says, come on, you don't need this. You can go out and play tennis. It's only a little bit of a cold. Just, you'll be fine. And usually it's the ego that wins. And this week's been the intuition's turn to win. And I've been at home all week. And I'm struggling because I look outside and I keep thinking a tennis match, and then I get a message and someone says, why don't you come and let's have a little play? And I'm saying no, and I'm sort of, also reprimanding myself, saying, come on, you can do it. What does it take to get out there? So the ego is quite strong. And so to be aware, talking about awareness as well, of understanding yourself and actually stepping back a little bit and listening to yourself and saying, so who is the wise one here? Is it the intuition or is it the ego? Who wants the best for this body? Let's say the ego just wants his glory, its glory. Let's say, and so maybe the intuition is the one I should be listening to. So I just wanted to share this with you. So if anyone else got things to step up.
Amazing. Can I just say briefly something from what you said that is important? Remember that intuition is our tool, because you were saying listening to intuition, and we tend to think it's like a something, like when we say our higher self. I don't like to call it higher self because it implies it's higher and somewhere else. But you have the truth inside, so it's listening to you. Yeah, and your intuition helps you listen to you, your truth, your divine self, which is already inside of you. Yeah. Tom.
Thanks for sharing that, Gary and Helena. I'm loving this. What occurred to me, I don't know whether you talked about this last week. It sounds like maybe you did, but in your story, Gary, you mentioned that last week you talked about intuition being emotionless. And when I'm in that situation where my intuition is telling me one thing and my ego is telling me the other thing, the ego is always right, panicky, mean, defensive, or something like that. Whereas intuition is always, it's like an instruction it's emotionless. It's got no emotion. So what I heard was your instruction was stay at home. and all the panic and fluff of, oh, I should be playing tennis, I'm a terrible person. You saw through that. And so when I think of my own story, I had a 15-year intuition that I didn't listen to, which was that I had to move to Vancouver. And for 15 years, the voice got louder and louder. And the fear associated with taking that step got bigger and bigger. And but the voice was always very calm and clear. It was just, have you moved to Vancouver yet? Why not? And then the ego was like, you're not going to get a job and a visa and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And the nudges got louder and louder and louder until I couldn't ignore it anymore, which I found to be what, if our soul path is this, we kind of go off this way and the voices get louder and louder until we turn back, and then we overshoot in the other direction. And so we're kind of like a sailing boat constantly doing this. And when a big job finished, a relationship finished, a house lease finished, I discovered something that I could do that wasn't the industry that I was in, that I hated. And I found out that I could do it in Vancouver. Only then, in my much smaller thinking, was I able to kind of go, okay, well, maybe I should finally listen to this. And what I've learned is to listen to it when it's a calm nudge that doesn't make sense. That's what showed up for me, just as you were talking there, Gary.
Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, Tom. Who's up? Who's got? Steve's got his hand up. Steve, Lily.
I changed the order so Lily could go first.
Go, Lily.
Oh, thanks. Well, I won't disappoint. I'm just kidding.
Go.
I appreciate everything everyone's saying. Tom, your story really resonates with me, especially the 15 years exactly. I have that same experience with the relationship with my father, which is a long story, but long story short, recently. And I think just to add in a little aspect of where I feel I connect with my intuition is in nature, because I was recently house sitting in Switzerland and walking in the mountains, and I saw this package of cigarettes, which was a point of contention with my father and I, just one of many that I hadn't talked to him for 15 years. And his name was on the package of cigarettes. And the next day at a festival in the mountains in Switzerland still, so nature, because I find myself more present there, I saw somebody that, one of those double takes when you see somebody that looks like somebody you know, and it was like somebody who looked exactly like my father. And it was just starting to freak me out. This isn't something that like Tom was saying, it was something that was nudging me like forever, 15 years. And finally something was just really strong in these two nudges. And then I get back to France, and my friend was taking me on a hike, and she was telling me, like, I was thinking of you this morning because I was listening to this song. It was about a father and a daughter, and it's like slapping you in the face. Like, I mean, these are huge, I feel like, but I also feel like all the little nudges along the way were like building up this not so subtle, hello, it's time. Oddly enough, the day long story short, there's so much in between me deciding to call him. And when I did, unfortunately or fortunately, it was a blessing. I could talk all day about how beautiful it was to connect with him after all the fear and all the things I built up, but he was getting some news from the hospital. So like, I think like the intuition was like, you need to connect with him now. And it's kind of beautiful, but I do think that it's from being in nature and having that calmness that's really helped me. But we could talk all day, but it's so magical, like when you can listen and pay attention to it.
Wow.
What an amazing story.
So there are nudges and there are slaps in the face. So you got your slaps in the face, and Tom got his nudges in over 15 years. That you got all that in the day or something. Stephen, is your camera good? I see, like, I don't know, it's got some lines on your screen. Is that okay? I mean, I don't know.
That's light. That's light coming in.
It's
light on the
intuition,
wall.
a
I thought
message.
it was some sort of like spiritual halo around you.
It's so these lights are actually on the wall.
Oh, okay.
I have a lamp that has a prism in it, and the sunlight is capturing it, and it's kind of an interesting look.
Yeah.
But so what I found in life is, you talk about the synchronicities, is they're all around us, and I believe that it gives us the opportunity to be blessed. You know, just like you were talking, Lily, about when you take action on that, I don't know that we're necessarily punished for not acting on the intuition, but we definitely miss out on the blessings, right? We miss out on the opportunities or the learning or what might have come from that. So it's a beautiful expression of hearing something that is meaningful, and sometimes it's very subtle. Like Gary and I were talking about intentional friendships, you know, how and it's something that's been circulating. It's conversations that's come up with other people, and when you start hearing that, you realize that, you know, that's a message that we're meant to understand, so to pay attention to it. So that's my share on that. But my question is I'm really fascinated around this idea of the science behind intuition. Can you just expand upon, you know, this concept of what is the science behind intuition?
On the science behind intuition, I don't have kind of like statistics and numbers and stuff like that. But there is something like this, the Heart Institute. And the Heart Institute studies a lot kind of these intuitive messages that comes through the heart, the language of the heart. And it has a lot of intuition. They've done a lot of studies of how the heart will feel when there's an intuition message. There's a way the heart responds to it. They can measure this energy kind of coming in. There's a lot of things on intuition that science actually cannot prove. But we can know that, like, you know, like the science, like, for example, that Lily was having, like things like these, we cannot prove these things. Where are they coming from? We had a discussion, they come from the universe, obviously, then we're being guided, we're being helped, right? We're being helped along the way. But there's no kind of proven evidence scientifically that tells you this is exactly intuition and this is where you find it, and everything is more the closer to scientific kind of information that I have found has been the Heart Institute that has been studying this. Apart from that, from the science, it's more like, you know, little things like, you know, recognizing that instinct is different from intuition. It's also, there was something else, but I kind of forgot right now. But yeah, most of the information that we're kind of receiving about intuition that I have from my research that really resonated with me on something that is clear is people that channel information. And they have brought a lot of information towards what is intuition, how we can sense it, how we can develop it. And that's kind of I trust on that. So that has been my science. Trusting in it.
So we talk about intuition, and Tom mentioned about the escape room. Like, you know, you dropped into an escape room, and intuition. What does intuition help you do there? That was my thoughts. Is it helping you to get out of the room, or is it helping you to actually understand how you can stay in the room? What was your Tom? Are you still there with us, Tom? What was your take when you said that about the escape room and the intuition? What does intuition allow us or help us do there in that situation? If we
Well, when we're in an escape room, right, we get put into a room. I don't know if anyone's done one. You go into a room and you've got to find the clues that will help you get the thing that will turn on the light, that will do the thing that will open up a drawer, and you've got to figure out your way to get out, but there's no instructions.
Right.
And all you have is your intuition that's like, oh, suddenly you get a thought, oh, I wonder if I move that lamp from over there. And then it just happens that when you put the lamp in that particular place, something else happens. So it's what occurred to me is that it's a nudge, that it's like intuition often shows up as I wonder if. I wonder if I do this, I might get some result. And sometimes it doesn't make sense.
So would you say intuition is something like trial and error, is things that we've tried as an entrepreneur as well? I'm sure, do I put the numerous mistakes or the numerous cul-de-sacs, the dead ends that I've taken along in this 25 years of entrepreneurial journey, and now put it down to intuition, but it's not intuition because it's something that I've already done and learned, hopefully, and say, don't do that again because you've already done that and it's not taking you anywhere. Is that what intuition is?
So can I tell you a story of an intuition that I received recently?
Sure.
I, over the course of my life, have worked in 15 plus industries. I've traveled to 50 countries. I have so many hobbies, and I have in the past had this story that I only like things when they're new, and I get bored really easily, and I'm never going to be amazing at anything because I'm pretty good at everything. And so what that has created for me is I've been a cocktail waiter, I've been a fire spinner, a costume performer, a sailing instructor, a filmmaker, like a DJ. Like I've done so many things in my life. And my story was like, I had this kind of throwaway things that are meaningless. Kind of, I've done them and they didn't add anything to my life, kind of other than a bit of fun. I received an intuition last year, which I haven't properly acted on yet because it's scary, but it's exciting, which is to create an event for entrepreneurs where they're not going to come and listen to boring lectures. They're going to do DJ workshop and acro yoga and climb mountains, and it's about an experience of being through experiential things. So that just arrived. And so we're coming, like, if I put that back into the escape room metaphor, that's an I wonder if, right? I wonder if I create this thing, it will be of value and it might take me closer to my truth. And it feels very like, when I think about the reasons not to do it, it's panicky ego, it's fear of being seen, it's a lack of self-belief in my own capabilities. It's all of that stuff, but the instruction is pretty clear, and I know that it's taking me towards my truth, because all of those things that I did when I was a fire spinner, and when I was making cocktails, and when I'm DJing, and that's when I feel like I'm here and now. And so all of those things felt like my truth at the time. So why not bring them all together? Why not bring all of my pieces of my truth together in something that doesn't make sense, that doesn't, there's no blueprint for it. As far as I know, no one's ever done anything like that before. I'm sure they have, but not that I know of. So it doesn't make sense, which makes it very scary for my ego. But it feels like there's a clue to me getting closer to the door of the escape room.
Yeah, I get you. I think, and the closer you go to that point there, you actually get closer to yourself, and so you feel drawn to it. Like it's like as Lily was saying, the synchronicity or whatever. You're nudged or you're pushed or whatever into that space there, into that point where you do the right thing for Tom or the right thing for Gary. And so you do it. It's scary. Because maybe you have to leave things behind, and you have to maybe even change who you think you are, who you portrayed out to other people, but it does align with you, and I think that gives you a little bit more peace of mind inside. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Shari Maloney. This is a new friend of mine. Shari,
Hi, Derek.
Hi, thank you for being here. Thanks, nice seeing you. Any thoughts on this, on intuition, synchronicity, and instinct?
Yeah, sure. Well, so thank you, Helena. Interesting distinction between intuition and instinct, and I'm sort of just letting that flow through my mind about different experiences and behaviors. So I really appreciate that. A lot of what everyone is saying here. Sorry, can't see. Oh, Lily, definitely alignment with the being in nature, and that's when I'm most with myself and able to sort of just put out all the noise, whether it's, you know, work or the digital world or whatever problem it might be, and I come away with such certainty of what is the better direction and the things that I want. So absolutely align with that. And Tom, what you were just describing, very interesting. You know, I do too like to, I can get bored very quickly. I love to learn something new. I'm okay with, you know, being that sort of, I don't know if generalist is the right word, but being that seeker of new experiences. And at one point you said it was just a bit of fun, but fun isn't overrated. I mean, I think fun is very important as human beings, as a species, as mammals. That is something that distinguishes us from other creatures, is that we can play and have fun. And it's critical for us from the time we're children up through adulthood. So very great conversation. And I'm just trying to think about how to better apply the distinction between intuition and instinct to my current transformation, which, Gary, as you know, I've left the corporate world and I am planning moving into a phase of my career where I am less about chasing, you know, a salary or a promotion or a title, and more about going to work every day and, you know, feeling passion for what I do. And, you know, that hasn't happened in the last couple of years, maybe more than a couple, but and I'm very excited to be able to do that. And I think I need to listen to my intuition to refine that target and to achieve that.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing, Shari, not Sherry.
That's it. No, that's right. You got it. Thank you, Gary.
Helen, Lily, you got it.
Go ahead. Arnella, she has her hand up.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask regarding synchronicities, which you mentioned, Helena. You mentioned also 1111. What about other numbers, those angel numbers? Is there any truth, or it's something what we just want to believe that it's truth and the science which universe is sending us? Thank you.
Sure, Nella, let me ask you a question. When you see these numbers and angel numbers, does it feel true for you?
Yes, most of the time.
Then that's it. That's it. And this is what's important about science synchronicities. There's no right or wrong. At the beginning, I also thought, what is the right one? What is the wrong one? You know, am I looking at the right one? And I had to learn, you know, and I learned also through people. I learned a lot that is what is for you. If that, like I said, if let's say for me a sign is when a leaf falls, then that's for me. And then the universe, you know, whatever it needs my attention, whatever will make a leaf fall at the right moment, and it will be like that's for me. Obviously, there's, you know, in the first conversation, we talked about discernment, right? And this whole process of intuition is discerning our ego mind from our intuition. And sometimes when we go in this path of science and synchronicities, we can get overly excited, or let's say the ego can get overly excited, and then suddenly everything is a sign and everything is something, or we need to be careful as well to put negative things to signs, you know, to like a black cat on the street. The other day I had a complete black cat crossing my path and I was like, no. And I said like, no, I'm gonna ignore it. This is nothing. And then that I was going on my way to the tube, and that I had checked the transport before. When I arrived to the tube, they were all completely blocked and delayed. So it's whatever we want to make it, but I was glad it was nothing bigger. It was just that. But you know, We give power to the signs. It's not the sign itself that has power. We give power to the signs. Yeah. And all of the numbers can have a power if that number is powerful for you. If you start to see 14 everywhere, then that number may be for you. You can have a look online. I used to have a look online at all the numbers, but I was getting overwhelmed because I was looking. I had a lot of number synchronicities all the time. And sometimes when you read them online, they say the same thing, most of it. So I just thought, let's just feel what is for me. Or maybe I just take numbers right now in my personal case, but obviously you do what you do. But I just feel it as kind of the pat in the back, like you're going, well, that go there, that's it. Or maybe it's just pay attention. So then I stop and then I like, what was I thinking? And I try to pay attention with what I was thinking. When it's 11:11, I try to do that. What was I thinking? Or I say thank you all the time. So being grateful for these signs is also very important because we get more. We are saying thank you. So then you're like, oh, you're paying attention. Here, we'll send you more. And the story of Lily of the synchronicities with the cigar box and everything, I was just mind blown because that's an amazing example of signs and synchronicities of the universe. It was so obvious for you because the situation required urgency, right? But sometimes signs can be very subtle. And that's why it's important to try to spend time being in the now in what we're doing. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that answers the question, Arnella. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Lily.
Oh, there's just so much. But first, I really like that point about gratitude and thanking it. And just that's also a grounding and presence that is so beautiful to just soak up whatever's happening. And thank you, everyone, for your input. Tom, I really love this idea of the escape room because I kind of believe part of the point of life is like leveling up and figuring yourself out and like getting to each new level of yourself and all kinds of stuff, and then also contribution, etc. But I just think so much that like what you were saying, Gary and Tom, about your job or like all the jobs, like they're all setups. Like we can take so much value out of all of them, and maybe there's a synchronicities we can find in that, the overlapping, all kinds of stuff that might be getting away from intuition. But I just think that's so beautiful. And yeah, the escape room and the intuition and like how you were talking about Elena, like the compass, right? The compass, how the intuition is guiding us to live our best life, and just everything's overlapping, living the best life and finding the truth in that. And I think that all plays a role in like the escape room of figuring this life out and who we are. And it can be combinations of things. And Sherry, you could be multi-passionate and interested in all different things, and none of that's wrong. And Tom have so many different jobs, and there's just so much beauty and overlap. And I know it's not all about intuition, but I think like intuition is the guide to following the most fulfilling life. And I'm just so thankful to be talking about this. So thank you.
Thank you, Lily, for that. Yeah, I think, and then sometimes it's all of these things all come together, and then it's expressed in something, whether it's a move to Vancouver, or whether it's someone's actually being in some way nudged to even write a book, or to start an event that Tom's talking about. You know, sometimes you just think, who's pushing me? Why am I going? But you just feel there's a tug, there's a nudge towards that. So, and then it's expressed in whatever you're able to produce. Stephen, are you still there?
I am. I'm going to pick up something, so I had to turn my camera off.
Okay.
So my question to Helena is, it's this idea of is the intuition, because it's a quiet voice, and some people have different terms for a voice that we hear, like the Holy Spirit or your soul, or is there a difference between these expressions of knowing, or is it just different names for the same thing?
Thank you, Stephen. In my personal opinion, for what I've learned, how can I say, they can be different. They can come from different. Imagine how can I say, imagine there are levels, not hierarchy levels, but there are levels. They can be sometimes messages from certain entities or guides from certain levels. But at the end of the day, those entities, they're always the message from everyone is that we all come from the same source, from the same one, from the same energy. So the whatever information comes from the same place, that it comes through different channels, through different voices, through different names is one thing. And there's everybody that channels different kind of entities, or let's call it this way for now, so to not go too far away in the conversation. But it all comes from the same place, from source, right? We all have this, even them, they have the same guidance and the same information. But here on Earth, from what I understood, we are here in that escape room. We are here in that game, right? And many years ago, before I started teaching intuition, I had this light bulb of, this is just a game. Let's just play it. Doesn't mean I want to be believing I'm in it, but let's just play it, because I really wanted to go off the grid and go completely opposite everything. And I thought, no, that's not smart. Just play the game. Just don't believe it. And so it's a game, and within that game we have, and the Earth. I've researched from what information I've received from different people and sources, is that we're here to learn. We're here to learn, and those other kind of versions of ourselves that have been more evolved through many more years, obviously, are there guiding us in this process of learning. Yeah, so basically we're just here to learn. We're here to reconnect to our intuition. We're here to experiment, to get to know ourselves better, our truth, to be authentic, authenticity. We say a lot of the times that we've been authentic, but if we go really deep, it's more hardcore than when we think it is. Yeah, and our truth is much more hardcore, much more raw than we tend to think. But it's also beautiful being human. That's something I love to talk about as well, to reconnect ourselves to our humanness that is raw and everything. But yeah, I hope that answers the question of that. Yeah.
I love that answer. And what kind of came to mind was this idea of we came here to learn what we already know, but we forgot.
Exactly. And I had goosebumps as you said that. Exactly. We already know it. And that's something I wanted to also add, if I can, from what Lily shared, that and again, take this with a grain of salt, but that the intuition is taking us towards our best life or our fulfillment. We are already fulfilled. Our greatest life is right now, is here. And I'm not trying to be romantic. Also, because the moment I had this aha moment for me, I had zero money in the bank. I was single. I was renting a flat. I had nothing. And I felt fulfilled, but because I was following my career as a coach. I had followed my career as a fashion, as a creative. And suddenly one day I just felt, hang on, I am fulfilled. And that feeling, I cannot explain it to you. And I have goosebumps every time I think about it. So I'm not trying to chase a life. Our life is right here. And this is probably the biggest invitation that we all have right now. And that with our intuition, with the help of connecting to our divine self, who are we? It's not who are we, but what are we? The ego wants to tell us who are we, but it's what are we? And that beautiful connection is here and now. It's now. Like Stephen said, we just forgotten, but we have all the information and truth. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Helena. A lot of passion, felt all those words, every word that you said. I was there with you all the way. Tom, we're coming to the end. You got an insight, you got a question as we come to the end?
Yeah, it's just a quick question, and it follows on from, well, everyone who's been talking. It's about signs and synchronicities, and yeah, what Stephen just said, that we came here to remember what we already know or learn what we already know. What occurred to me as Lily was sharing about all the thing with her father, and Arnella with the magic numbers, and the question that occurred to me is, like, do we create our own signs? right? Is it 11:11 every day, twice? And is it something inside of me that says, I need to look at the clock at exactly that time so that I remember the thought that I'm having at that moment, so that I take an action that is going to take me to my truth, right? Did Lily know long before she saw the cigarette packet that she needed to reconnect with her dad and create something? I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Sure. Yeah, I love that question, and I think Lily wants to comment as well on that. Maybe, I don't know. She was very excited.
Oh,
And I will. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, and then I'll answer.
I think that's why I said slap in the face, because I'm like, this is something that's been on my mind for years, and I'd work through different things, but definitely that's where that wording came out, because I knew it. But that's just such an interesting question. So I'd love to hear what Helena says about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the question as well. And again, this is my point of view, but feel free to have yours. I do believe that before we were born, we chose this life. We chose every person in this life. We chose everything that we're going to go through. And again, that's probably far out for many, but we chose everything before coming here. So coming to answer your question, I was thinking the other day actually about that, because I'm writing something right now, and I was writing about signs and synchronicities, and I actually wrote that there are signs and synchronicities that I feel we chose before that we needed at that moment, like you explained it, Tom. Like at that moment, I needed to pay attention to that, so I'm gonna create this, so you see it, and then and I want you to feel interested in this sign, because from that sign, I'm gonna send you the messages that I need you to get. I think that we did that ourselves. I feel that there's also a component of collective signs, because we are all connected, interconnected. If we don't see it, we're completely connected. So we've agreed on signs that help us at a collective level. And also there are, I think, signs that come again from our guides, from our other versions that are in other dimensions that are also guiding us in that path, that whenever we need to pay attention. But I feel it's a combination of the three but I think we decided in advance all of these signs, and we decided in advance everything that we're going to experience in this lifetime, everything. So
it all sounds very scary, because I mean, as I'm listening to all of this, it's like I'm also thinking about the AI prompts that we have to prompt the AI to give us that information. I'm asking myself, is this what we're doing? Are we creating prompts for ourselves to actually go to things that we already know, but we need to be reminded? So like prompts or reminders to go there. Which is quite scary, because are we going forward or are we going back, or I don't know where we are now. But anyway, we're coming to the end. Listen, we're coming to the end, because those people will just be dropping off the screen, and I'll have a black screen in front of me. So let me say goodbye to everyone. Helena, thank you very much for, again, your second time, and your insights and everything. Everyone else for being here. Thank you for participating in the BEwell. Hopefully I'll see you guys again next week. We've got Andre Duquim from the Channel Islands, Guernsey, if you know the Channel Islands, and he's going to come and talk to us about our three brains, how we can actually align the three brains to actually perform and survive in this life. So if you're free next Tuesday from 5 to 6, come along, and we'll just continue these conversations. So thank you again. Okay.
Thank you so much, Gary, and thank you so much, everyone. And I'll be carrying on this conversation in my YouTube channel.
Yeah, and do reach out to Helena. You've got all her contacts in the chat. Reach out to her, and I'm sure if you want to go deep into the conversation, or we can meet up in London or wherever, because that's where Helena is, and that's where I go very often. So we can meet up for a coffee or something there.
Definitely.
Okay.
Let me know.
So look after yourselves, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you,
Take
Helena.
care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.